Hello everyone, this is a video I've been waiting to do for a long time. It's pretty interesting, more so, there's some really cool stuff. If you know anything about video games, you'll probably notice there's some rare games here, but the story is probably the coolest part. I've had this now for a couple months, and the story even goes even before that. I'm just waiting to do the video. I haven't even listed anything yet, haven't even cleaned anything up. This is all fresh from how the story goes. So, about probably 9 months to a year ago, I live in a condominium complex, a couple of garages caught on fire. Very sad. There was, I guess, a transient who was sleeping behind the garages in some bushes that are there, and we believe he may have caused the fire, or, maybe had a cigarette or something and caused it to burned some bushes, which then burnt some wood on the roof of the garages and ended up burning about 4 garages. One completely, and the other 3 had minor damage or smoke damage. So very sad, unfortunately. One of my friends had one of the units. There was less damage to theirs, but one person on the very end suffered tragic, burned a car in there, everything. So it was super horrible. Fortunately, they had insurance, so that was good, and they got compensated for their loss. Anyways, my garage wasn't affected, so I was very blessed to not have to deal with that. But as the process was going on and I walked by to see kind of the damage, like a looky-loo, went to see what it looked like, on the ground I noticed in the burn a bunch of PlayStation games, PS1 games. I can only see like 3 or 4 of them, one of them being right here, Sukune, which I know is a rare game. So I was like, oh wow, that's there, that's pretty cool. And I was like, this looked kind of burned because it had stuff all over it, but I wasn't sure how bad it really was. And I'm like, oh man, that's horrible for the person. Well, then a couple days go by, and they cleaned out some of the stuff they wanted, and it was all the video games were still there. So I happened to meet the owner, this lady, and I asked her, I was talking to her briefly about, what happened, and I said, hey, I noticed you have a bunch of video games, that's horrible. And she said, yeah, those were her husband's, they're all trash now. And I said, well, hey, if you don't want them, let me know, and I'll go in there and, I'll buy them from you. Even if I'll find the ones that aren't damaged, I'm interested, even if it's just for the cases or what have you. And she kind of just didn't really respond. She's like, okay, have a good night. And I'm like, okay, that was weird. I mean, I'm offering you some money for stuff you're probably going to throw away. But later I thought she's probably waiting for the insurance to come out so they can value it, all that stuff. So then they board up that garage while they're getting everything fixed, and unfortunately our complex did not do them right. It took forever to get it fixed, so months and months and months go by. And then about 2 months ago, and I thought to myself, one day these are going to get dumped in the trash, and it's going to suck because there's definitely good games there. There's got to be some value. So one day I'm walking to my car, and to go get my son from school, and I notice a lady shoveling stuff out of that garage into trash cans, and I'm assuming she's putting them in the dumpster. Sorry if you hear my dogs messing around in the background. So I'm like, oh crap, I gotta get my son first. So I go get my son, I do a bunch of errands and stuff, and then I finally get back, and it's about 6:30. Been about 3.5 hours, and the garage is completely empty. So I go to the dumpster, and I see on the top of the dumpster just all kinds of burned stuff and trash and, melted plastic everywhere and dusty and chalky and every kind of ash everywhere. I'm like, oh, this stinks. But then I notice towards the top, a couple layers down, a couple of PS1 games, and I pulled like Final Fantasy out, I think Resident Evil, and then some PS2 games, and I'm like, oh, she just dumped them all in here. So then I went and got some gloves and spent about an hour and a half digging through the dumpster to pull out everything you see here. So it's kind of disgusting, and probably for some is just complete, ridiculousness. But if you know anything about PlayStation 1 games, some of these games are pretty rare and pretty valuable. And, if you're kind of you like to pick and find stuff, then maybe you would find it to be cool anyway. So I brought everything I found aside from some of the really junk, but I wanted to show you guys how bad some of them were. This one just kind of got a lot of ash on it, but this one right here, literally, I mean, you can tell it definitely was a bad fire. So I just included this one to show you it's actually just going to be trash. It's no good. And all these ones over here, these PS2 ones, are not that valuable anyways, and a lot of them you can just see, hopefully there's like ash everywhere. So, but if you look over here, there's some really good PS2, PS1 games. Suikoden. These two are pretty good. I want to say one of them was like 80 to 100 bucks. I think this one. This is like a $20 game. Spawn's worth something. I think this is a $20 or $25 game. Breath of Fire is the same. Castlevania is worth some money. Resident Evil will sell. Mega Man X4 will sell. This game usually goes for like 25 to 30. I think this one goes for like 20, probably 15. I don't even know. I've never even heard of this game or that game. Got a good old Eminem CD in there, Encore. Do you want more? I won't finish the lyrics, but those of you might know. Some Tomb Raiders, 3 of them. And most of these, the PlayStation 1 games and the good stuff, is actually not the stuff that's damaged. The bad stuff really is. I mean, you can see this has got ash. I gotta now take some time to clean it up. They don't smell horrible because they've sat in the garage and I kind of let them air out. But I gotta clean them up and make sure there's no residual smell, because if so, that's really going to be damaging to a collector. And if that was the case, then I'd probably just pull out the discs and maybe the manuals if the manuals don't smell, and then put those, or even if it's just the discs, sell the discs. It was free to get all this. I know I made it kind of a long story, and maybe it wasn't as cool as I thought, but I was pretty excited that it all worked out, and I finally did get them all. For the lady in the unit, it's kind of sad because I would have paid her, you know, probably $100 for all this stuff. And there are some other ones, like I said, but they're not really anything great. But I probably would have paid $100 if I could have found all this, because I know I can make the money back, and I would want to be fair since she is my neighbor. But pretty cool find, pretty cool story. One of my neighbors, I had told him that I really wanted the games, and one day I was like, I should just walk over there and take them. You know, ask her if she's done with the stuff, and then one night just take them. That little rebel, you know, kind of wanted to step onto the dark side there and do something wrong, but I didn't. I was, you know, reasonable and held to my morals, and eventually it paid off, and it should be pretty good. I think there's definitely a couple $100 worth of games here when it's all said and done, and it was free, and again, it's a cool story. So hope you enjoy. If you have any questions, let me know. Hope it didn't repulse anyone. It was definitely dirty in there. As you can see by this game, that's what I was digging through. And there was all kinds of stuff, from like clothes that had been burned, plastic bins, there were unfortunately pictures that had been partly burned, shoes, all kinds of stuff. They had a bunch of stuff in the garage, and most of it wasn't salvageable. The only thing I did take out of there was this really nice monster truck RC car. It's like one of the people who are into the hobby of it. It's not like one you get from Walmart, like a little Tyco one. It's like a Traxxas, I think. Unfortunately, the shell of it, the body, is all melted in a couple spots, but the rest of it is in really good shape. So I'm guessing wherever it was in the garage, it just had a little bit of heat getting the top of the body, but the rest of it, again, is pretty good. So I should be able to sell that. I don't know if it works. It won't power on with the batteries, but maybe they're dead. I'm going to sell it for parts and hopefully get $50. So that was in there too. Hope you enjoy. Let me know if you have any questions, and take care.